All right, good afternoon. It's 5 o'clock, so we'll declare the meeting open. We do have a quorum. So let's get started. If you'll stand and join me in the pledge. If you'll pray with me, please. Father, we're so thankful for the day you've given us. Just give us wisdom as we make decisions on behalf of the citizens. Father, just give our city a special blessing this evening and throughout, and bless our first responders, our police and firemen, as they serve our folks every day. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, council, we've got the minutes from the joint SEDCO meeting and also the minutes of the regular city council meeting on October 1st. Did y'all have a chance to review those?
Move to approve the minutes of both the joint SEDCO meeting and our regular city council meeting.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, at this time, we have a very special presentation. I'm going to recognize Eddie Brown. Eddie, if you'll come forward, please, and make your come on, your recognition, please.
Yes.
Thank you very much for recognizing our Leadership Sherman class, and I'll ask if the class would stand up. We have a class of 26 this year. And then we could also ask if any alumni that are in the room would stand as well for Leadership Shermans.
Seriously?
Seriously. All right. So you can see it's a great program, and we do want to thank you. You can sit down if you'd like. We do want to thank the city council and the city staff for recognizing us today. And just real quickly, Leadership Sherman began in 1980. You would think this would be our 38th class if all held true, but this is our 32nd class this year. There were some gaps in there along the way many years ago and a few years ago. But the class began last week with leadership orientation. We had a full day of that. We spend this Wednesday here with Leadership City Day, and Robbie and the staff and the council will welcome our group here, and we're looking forward to that. That's an exciting time with us. And then we'll go all the way with one monthly meeting each month all the way through May, where we'll end up the year and then have graduation as well. I do want to quickly say Leadership Sherman provides leadership training. It involves class members and community outreach. The class projects are designed to add something special to our city and our community, and it opens doors to future nonprofit board members, future councilmen, and future local government leaders. So we thank you for not only recognizing us today, but for having us here this Wednesday, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you. Thanks, Ed.
Okay, this time I'm going to invite Dr. Jerry Gundersheimer to come up. We're going to have a proclamation. Yeah, there you are. Okay, so Lions White Cane Day. Whereas Lions Club International, with over 1,350,000 members in the free world, has been dedicated to saving sight for nearly 100 years, and whereas Lions Club International has distributed more than 147 million treatments for river blindness, provided nearly 8 million cataract surgeries, and prevented serious vision loss for more than 300 million people worldwide, and whereas through their work they have saved the sight of more than 15 million children by providing eye screenings, glasses, and other treatments through Sight for Kids, and whereas the Sherman Nunes Lion Club has been outstanding in its community and helping the needy with sight problems through the use of its white cane donations, and whereas the Sherman Nunes Lions Club provides eye exams and eyeglasses to the needy school children of Grayson County, Leader Dogs for the Blind, cornea transplants courtesy of the Lions Organ and Eye Bank, and eyeglass collections for needy people around the world, and whereas the Sherman Nunes Lions Club has invited its neighbors to share in saving vision by donating to its White Cane Day event. Now therefore I, David Plyler, Mayor of the City of Sherman, Texas, by the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim October 20th, 2018 as Lions White Cane Day in the city of Sherman and invite all citizens to join me in sharing the Lions' concern for the best site possible for our neighbors in need by giving generously to Lions White Cane Day. Every penny will give the gift of sight. So with that, Dr. Gundersheimer, I'm going to present you with the proclamation and ask you to share a few words about White Cane Day.
Thank you, Mayor Flato. Mayor and City Council, I appreciate very much again y'all issuing us this proclamation. Hopefully the weather gods will allow us to do this Saturday. It's not looking real good, so we'll see. As you know, the vast majority of the money that we collect in White Cane Day does go back directly to helping Grayson County youth when they're in need of, and they can't afford an eye exam and eyeglasses. We help provide that for them. We're also partnering now with the Evening Lions Club and providing eyeglasses and eye exams for needy adults in the area. So if y'all know of anybody who could use that particular service and is financially strapped and is in need of something like that, they could contact myself. But once again, we appreciate the council backing this for us every year, and we do this in the name of the Sherman New Lions Club for the kids in this city, and we appreciate y'all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gundersheimer. All right, at this time, we'll open public hearing. Linda, if you'll read ordinance 6155, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending ordinance number 6146 to appoint election officials for an election of the qualified voters of the City of Sherman, Texas on the 6th day of November 2018 for the purpose of electing a mayor and 2 at-large City Council members for Place 1 and Place 2 for said city. Finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda.
Yes, so at a previous meeting, we asked the council to call the election for November 6th, which we did. So this agenda item actually is to appoint the election officials, the names of which were not available when we called the meeting last time. So really, this is just to amend it to appoint the election officials that will be serving that day.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. If not, we'll move to ordinance 6156. Linda, if you'll read that for us.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow living quarters in a C1 retail business district at 301 South Crockett Street, being the west 57 feet of the north 65 feet of Lot 1, Block 10, original town plat. Creedalyn Carter II, owner, L. Lumpkins Architects Incorporated, architect, and Helvey Wagner Surveyors, surveyor, providing for a repealer clause, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Scott?
Yeah, this is a specific use permit for the living quarters on top of this new law office. It's located between the Justice Center and the fire station in the block there where the city parking lot is, just across the street from the Central Business District, which, if it was across the street, it could have 4 living quarters in it. But, they've been to the Historical Board and the Construction Board and got unanimous approval there. They've been to P&Z. And the vote was unanimous there to approve this request.
All right, very good. Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. If not, we'll move on to 6157. Linda, if you read that for us.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, ordinance number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R2 multifamily residential district at 301 East Brockett Street, being part of lots 3 and 6, Block 3, Bond's Second Edition, containing 0.098 acres. Arjun Demla, owner, Childress Engineering Services, civil engineer, and Underwood Drafting and Surveying, surveyor. providing for a repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Scott?
Yeah, this request is for multifamily zoning to build a two-story, eight-bedroom duplex. They will provide 8 parking spaces. This went to P and Z, and the vote was unanimous to approve it, subject to the staff review letter.
Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. Not, we'll move on to 6158. Linda, if you'll read that for us.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow a duplex in an R1 one-family residential district at 1600 and 1602 North Travis Street, being the south 82 feet of Lot 16 and the south 82 feet of the east 25 feet of Lot 15, Block 1 of W.M. Shannon's supplement. Caladium Investments LLC owners, Joe Gilbert representative, and Marshall Sarton surveyor. Providing for a repealer clause, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Scott?
All right, this request is to build a duplex where there's formerly been a duplex. It's been in real bad shape, so they're going to tear down the existing and want to put a new one in. It went to P and Z, and the vote was 6-0 to approve it, subject to the staff review letter.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. If not, this time we'll close public hearing and consider the adoption of ordinance number 6155, 6156, 6157, and 6158. Council, any questions on these items?
I have a question about 6157, only for information, and that is, you said they were going to allow for 8 parking spots, and just, what do we do with individuals? Because if I remember correctly, that part of Brockett, you can't park on the street, and oftentimes families have more than one vehicle nowadays.
Right. This is a duplex. It has 4 bedrooms on each side, so there's going to be a total of 8 parking spaces for that off-street. So these are all on private property in garages or driveways.
Just making, just because.
Our ordinance is 1 per bedroom, correct?
Yeah, minimum 2 per unit. Yeah.
Okay. But that comes up with a lot of the different things that we're looking at now, because.
Big deal.
Okay.
I move to accept all as written, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are down to the consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion without discussion unless a council member or citizen requests a specific item be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda includes items E2, F3, F4, F5, F6, F7, and F8. Is there anyone, council or citizen, that would like to separate any of these items for any reason? Okay. If not,
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of the consent agenda as read.
okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right, we are down to Resolution 6415. Linda, if you'll read that for us.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman recognizing that the portion of Obie Groner Road from FM 1417 to West Moore Street will be recognized as and renamed West Travis Street. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Clint?
This is the section of Obie Groner that's just south of the new high school, and when all phases of construction are done, which is shown on that map, West Travis Street will connect from 75 all the way to 1417. We've approved the construction contract, and they should be clearing land in the next couple weeks.
Okay. Council, any questions on this item?
Move to approve 6415.
I second it.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we'll receive an update on the City of Sherman's recycling program and consider alternatives.
Hey, Mayor, while she's coming up and we're getting the lights here, just wanted to follow up real quick. So we brought this issue to light to you a couple of meetings ago when we came with the budget amendment for last year. So really, this is just a follow-up to that meeting. Mary's got, Mary and her crew have done a lot of research, and we have some solutions, I think, that will be good, at least in the intervening time. So wanted to just tee this up and let you know this is our coming back to you after we said we'd come back with some recommendations based on our study. So.
Okay. We're going to talk about the current recycling environment, what our recycling program is right now, and what our alternatives are, because we can't keep doing what we're doing today. Okay, so our current recycling environment, starting in January of 2018, China essentially quit taking mixed stream recyclables, which is what we have. They were the largest buyer for mixed recyclables. There's been no substitute market for the Chinese market. It was an environmental decision for China. They just decided they didn't want any more foreign garbage. They burn a lot of their garbage, so it was creating a lot of pollution in their country. They've banned 24 different materials that they used to take. They no longer take them, and they demand 99.5% purity in the recyclables they're taking now. So just a little bit of rubbish ruins all the recyclable value. So nationally, some smaller towns have even quit recycling. Glass is a big problem. Nobody wants the glass. Some recycling processors are no longer accepting a mixed stream. In California, they have certain environmental requirements where maybe certain entities can only take 50% of their trash to a landfill, so they're warehousing a lot of their recyclables, and it's created a huge glut in the market. A lot of the smaller towns just cannot afford to recycle anymore. So until April of this year, we were still getting paid for our recyclables. Starting in May, we started having to pay our processor. It started at $95 a ton. We're now up to $150 a ton. And we used to get paid for our recyclables, and now we're paying them. So it's just, the new environment is the value of recycled materials is just not going to offset the cost. So a lot of the problem is the market, a lot of it is our contaminated stream. So we don't pay anything for cardboard. That's really the only value that we have left. Our stream is about 40% contaminated, and if you remember, I said before, China is demanding 0.5% contamination. So we have a long way to go to clean up our stream. So if materials that are not included in our recycling program are put in the can, they go to the processor, and the processor takes that 40%, those non-recyclables, and they take them to the landfill. This is hugely expensive, it's inefficient, and we haven't gained anything. So we looked to see what other cities are doing, and there's a lot of information nationally, locally. We called several other cities. All the local cities we found were continuing their recycling program. Nationally, there are some that are suspending their program. A lot of cities have an existing contract, such as they may have waste management or someone that comes and picks up their recycle with their trucks, and they have an existing contract, and that contract's fixed. Well, in the next few months or in the next year, they're going to be renegotiating those contracts, and they will be paying a higher rate then. And so a lot of them have not had to do anything yet because they haven't faced the increased costs as we have. One of our challenges is getting our recyclables to a processor, because we're up here in Sherman. Well, there's a processor we would like to use, and he's in South Dallas. And our program and our trucks and our drivers are not set up to drive from Sherman to South Dallas every day and come back. We don't feel like it's a very safe situation for what what we're trying to do here. However, what we do know from other cities is everybody is going to clean up their stream. So our current recycling program began in 2001 at $3.01, and now we're only at $3.10. So we've only gone up 9 cents in 18 years. About 7% of our revenue is from recycling, and about 5% of the tonnage is from recycling. So let's say we want to continue to recycle, what can we do? So we're going to have to think about recycling differently. It's not going to be as economical as it was before. We need to think, well, if I pay to have it hauled away, am I willing to pay to have it recycled? We're just going to have the mindset recycling is going to cost some money. We're going to have to clean up our stream. And then we want to contract with the processor because we really need to know how much we're going to have to pay for recycling so we can set our rates and so we have some certainty for our citizens and for our budget in the city. So cleaning up our stream, what we would do is only recycle those materials that have a market. So if the materials end up in a landfill, what does putting them in a recycle cart accomplish other than spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year disposing of them? And if you look at education, you can see the recycle loop here. That's reduce, reuse, and recycle. Well, reduce and reuse are on the individual. Part of recycle is on the individual because the individual is the one that puts it in the can, and part of the recycle is on the city right now. So another part would be compliance. We would need to require compliance, and we've started working on this compliance. We'll look for direction from you tonight, but we had someone go ahead of the recycle truck and look in the bin and see, okay, those are recyclables, goes to the next one, those are not, puts a sticker on it so the truck knows to pass it by. Well, that's pretty labor intensive. And so, but how do you determine that what's in that cart is clean? So it's a pretty tough way to figure it out. But when we do that, then we only pick up compliant cans and we know our stream is cleaner. So there's a lot of challenges with cleaning this up. So now we'll talk about money. The current monthly rate is $3.10. We know it needs to go up. We're losing about $100,000 in recycling revenue, which we typically get. Well, we used to get paid for our recycle, and we're going to lose that money, and that's about $100,000 a year that we're not going to get. And we'll have some costs involved if we recycle. The disposal costs will go up at the landfill because that material that was recycled will now be going to the landfill, and we'll have to pay the tonnage on that. We may clean up our stream, and that may not be clean enough to fund the program. We know tonnage will be reduced, so we won't be paying the $150. We'll be paying the $35 to the landfill. We'll have some offset with costs, we feel, because if you have a recycle container, and we've told you you can't put everything in it that you were putting in it before, and we did have some using it for a second trash can, that they're going to need to get another residential solid waste cart. Well, the difference in price is about $12 between the two. So the customer will pay for it in rates or an additional cart. It's just going to cost more. So our current ask for tonight is $1 a month per container. That will offset the lost revenue from the recycling that we used to get. We would like you to direct us to modify the recycling program to adapt to the new environment. We don't believe this will be the final solution. If we clean up the stream, if we try and contract with a processor because our stream is cleaner and we pay less, we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what compliance will look like. what we're going to have to spend to get that level of compliance where a processor will take our recycled stream. So we'll be coming back to you in the first quarter of 2019 to tell you how the program's going and what further steps we need to take, because we do expect there will be additional modifications to the program. Okay, so we can talk about alternative 2. Do you even still want to recycle? So if we suspend the program, all the recycle goes to the landfill. If it did, it'd be about an additional $100,000 a year that we would have to pay in disposal fees to the landfill. However, many residences and businesses, we believe, would need an additional trash container. We don't know how much that would be or what that would look like, but we'll have some offsetting costs with that revenue. We believe it would be challenging to restart the program in the future, and we would have a greater impact on the commercial customers. That's kind of a separate piece, but their additional containers are just a lot more than the residential ones. So, do you have any comments or questions that we can address?
So let me throw out for discussion a few more facts that will help you understand about the program. So right now we have about 14,000-ish residential customers just in our residential trash program. We have about 10,000 curbside recycling customers. And right now the only demographic group that is opted out or can opt out of the program or is exempt are senior citizens. So we don't require participation per se, but we do add on these 10,000 customers a $3.10 charge every month. You know, you can tell from the data here that the level of both participation and impact of recycling is, I think it was, 5% of our total waste stream is recycled at this point. So, I've had some of the things that we kicked around that were not on this presentation because we couldn't put everything in here every scenario that we talked about. But some ideas were, well, could you go to just a voluntary program only, where people sign up for it and they let us know if they would like to do that. There'd be some challenges there, of course, of just initially, how do they let us know that they want to participate? If then we were going to have the program continue to be self-funded, then all of those customers would be responsible for bearing 100% cost of the plan. And I don't know what those numbers would be, but let's just say, for example, 10% of the people would want to participate and be willing to pay for something extra. Well, if 10% are participating, so that's 1,000 customers, in theory, their bill would have to go up by a multiple of 10 in order for the dollars to work. So the $3 fee would then become a $30 fee per month for recycling. We're not proposing that. We didn't put that up here. We're just telling you that we went through a myriad of different conversations and iterations about what we could possibly do. At the end of the day, kind of what we came down to are, we believe there's really two major decision points. One, do you want to suspend the program for a little while or not? We didn't believe that was the right and best thing, although we could do that. The second was, is there some way we can get a handle on what the big problem is? And the big problem is that there's contamination in our stream and in really every other city's stream in the nation because of the low tolerance for contamination by the marketplace now. I'll tell you, it's going to be very, very challenging to get the contamination levels down to where they need to be, certainly from us selling to China. So we've kind of eliminated that nearly from reality. But there still is a market in the United States for these recycled products. So we do believe that our education efforts and our reducing the types of things that can go in our waste stream, our recycle stream, will help out with the contamination. We just don't know what level. I mean, right now it's 40% of the loads are, but even if we do a bang-up job and cut that in half, well, that's 20%. Well, what if we knock it out of the park? Maybe that's 10%. Well, what sort of impact is that going to have? We can't even guess what that effect is going to be for a few months, because it's going to be a monumental effort just to re-educate the public and let everybody know what's going on there. So
I want to know more about cardboard specifically.
The cardboard, when we take it to the processor, they don't charge us anything. We're not getting paid. About the only cardboard that is like that right now.
Hey, Mary.
Are commercial customers have a cardboard.
Well, in a post
Mary, you might-
Amazon economy, I know that a lot of people are recycling a lot of Amazon boxes and whatnot. If you could get rid of the plastics, because it seems like plastics have a higher degree of contamination due to what they're usually used for in the home. If we eliminated, pizza boxes and all plastics and just stuck with cardboard.
Sure. We talked about that as well. And I think as the proposal goes, what we would be accepting, are clean fiber, which is the cardboard and newspapers, plastics, number 1, number 2, plastics, tin, and aluminum. We could pare that list down. I mean, one scenario would be, instead of having a list of 4 different types of things, we could start with 1 and see if our contamination levels are going to drop significantly, which I believe they would.
Then we can
always add back.
Yeah.
That would be an option for sure.
Plus that if cardboard is basically neutral,
Right.
adding in that $1 raise should get us back whole, right?
It should. I'm not sure the effect on, the residential waste cost. We'll have the increased cost going, there's several moving pieces, but cardboard is about the only thing there's a market for, and it's because it's clean. It's a box.
Yeah, as long as you don't put pizza boxes in there.
Right.
Right.
No, nothing
Still
with
gonna
food.
have to go in front of the truck and check each
Wow,
recycling container,
I hope not.
but
But how do you get compliance?
yeah.
How do you know what's in the can? And the guys can see the can, being dumped into the hopper, but then at that point, it's too late.
It's too late.
Right,
So you get a sticker one week that said, you put something in here that we can't take.
right.
So
And
then I tear I guess I have to tear the sticker off when I decide, the next time, okay, I'll do it right. And then,
Well, usually what happens is the customer will then call, they'll say, hey, my can's compliant, and we go out and pick it up at that time. Not always,
okay.
but that does happen.
Now, is there a rule for recycling recyclables? If cardboard has already been recycled, can you recycle it again? Because I know with Amazon, a lot of their boxes have been recycled already. So I didn't know if there was, can you recycle something that's already been recycled?
Well, from
I know for plastic bags you can't recycle them again,
Can't.
but I think cardboard, I don't think it matters.
by the
Right.
time it makes it into our recycle stream, it's already been processed by a processor to put it back into a form that makes it recyclable again. And so really, I think it's nearly a binary sort of decision. Do you want to suspend the program or not? And so it sounds like, based on the input, that the answer to that is no, we don't want to suspend it right now. If we have other efforts to make.
If we can do something to keep the program alive, because I agree, restarting it would be Herculean undertaking to start the whole program over. So to keep it alive until circumstances out in the economy may change, and of all the materials that we're recycling, the one that we know right now is at least neutral is cardboard. And I think that's an easier thing to ask the citizens, hey, instead of remembering this long list of do's and don'ts, all you have to remember is clean cardboard and no pizza boxes. That'll keep the program alive and buy us time and runway to figure out where do we need to go. And then if say aluminum comes back in and then there's a good market for aluminum, then hey, we can go back to the citizens and say, okay, you can throw your soda cans in there now and we can take your aluminum and we can build the program back up a piece at a time. That's just mine.
And one thing we don't know is, right now, they're taking the cardboard because it's clean. Well, if our aluminum was clean and our tin was clean and our number 1 and number 2 plastic was clean, would they no charge us that too? And so the issue is the contamination, really, and, the number 3 through number 7 plastic they don't want glass.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
The big problem is having lids on the cans. If everything was visible, like when those bins that you would used to have to take years ago in other cities, they could see everything you're dropping off, but it's real easy for people to just throw their garbage in the recycling cans and just stick it out by the curb.
I guess at the end of the day, people will vote with their compliance of whether or not they want the program to continue.
That's a good point, and it's a big ask of the residents and citizens. Do you want to continue a recycling program? And if so, collectively, we're going to have to clean up the waste stream. We can't do it. Even with all the compliance in the world, we couldn't possibly get down to the threshold of what's acceptable in overseas markets. So it's going to take an effort not only of the city and the city council to modify the waste stream, for instance, but it's really going to take an effort on the participants to make sure that they are educated about it and that they are willing to participate and use it as a recycling program, not as a second trash can, which is a big part of the problem as well. Let me ask Michael real quick. So I think it's a valid question that you're asking, Josh, about can we just start out with corrugated cardboard and work our way up? Could that be extended to include newspapers and still be okay? You feel good about that?
If we kept it clean fiber, then that would be acceptable.
So then we could say corrugated and then newspapers, which adds a little bit of something to it.
Well, I know that the majority of stuff in my recycling bin is just Amazon boxes.
Right.
And I have Amazon boxes saved for the next time. So I think a lot of people probably have a lot of boxes and it's clean.
Yeah.
And it's something that we can keep the program alive long enough until hopefully, things change.
So what is the rest of the council's appetite or temperature for continuing the program? And then if so, maybe starting out small and then do this for a few months. Then we'll come back with the report on what we're seeing. And then at that time, if things are looking good, then maybe we can branch out and start adding things back if we're seeing a good, high level of compliance.
I like the idea of the newspaper and the cardboard. I think that's a good start.
Yeah, I heard from a number of citizens over the last 2 weeks who really want to continue the program. So, if we put out reminders through social media, maybe through the newspaper of saying, the importance of cleaning up the waste stream, I think most folks who recycle want to comply, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we need to do anything for the dollar?
Yeah. So we would probably, were those original rates, when we redid the rates for solid waste, those are set by resolution, aren't they?
They are.
So we would, if you're okay with this plan moving forward, what we would do is bring back a resolution at the next council meeting to increase the rates by $1
Correct.
per customer per month to continue the program. And then when we bring back our report in the first quarter of next year. We'll report both on the financial aspects of the plan and the compliance and, just operational aspects of the plan and let you know how it's going. So, okay, well, we'll do that. We'll bring back that and we'll proceed that way.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mary. All right. We're down to F2. Linda, if you'll read that for us.
Site plan approval for Douglas Distributing owners, Icon Architect Engineer, and Chris Freach, representative, under ordinance number 2252, Article 4, Sections 410, 2J, and 2GL to allow Legacy Village Gas Station, convenience store, and car wash in the Blaylock Industrial Park at 3707 South US Highway 75.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Scott?
Yeah, this is out by the Movie Bowl Grill, 141775. It's a 7,000-foot convenience store, has a car wash, and also a canopy with 20 gas pumps. So something we've been looking forward to. It's been to P&Z. The board approved this unanimous. We did notify all the managers in the Blaylock Industrial Park. No opposition.
Okay. Very good. Council, any questions on this item?
I don't have any questions.
You get a motion?
I move to approve, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
I second.
motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are down to citizen request. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the council this evening? Okay. If not, Billy? Okay. I guess she doesn't have any questions either. Okay. We're down to council comments. Councilman Holland, I'll start with you this evening.
Went to the convention this week, it was nice. TML, it was nice. Learned a lot. Got some things I need to bring back to the city that I think is going to help benefit us.
I just wanted to say I appreciate the Sherman Leadership class being here tonight and participating in our council meeting. And you guys have some fun stops ahead of you, and I look forward to hearing back from Eddie. I'm on the board there with the chamber, so I look forward to hearing back from Eddie on all the things that you get yourselves into this year. I also do want to say that I do appreciate us as a city and the city staff bringing back the different opportunities for our recycling program. That's something I think we all took very seriously and do want to continue on with, being environmentally friendly, but at the same time being aware of the cost that goes into that and making efficient decisions with the tax dollars. So I appreciate you guys spending the time to bring those options back to us and kind of giving us a full picture.
Thank you.
I'll echo Sean on the Leadership Sherman. As I did participate in that. It seems like it's been, doesn't seem like it has been probably close to 20 years ago now since I was in the program. But I will say that, lived in this city my entire life and fourth generation, and had a true appreciation of what the program brought, because I didn't know what I would take from the program. But even though I had been here my whole life and been involved with a lot of other things already, it's a really good program, and I appreciate the chamber continuing that and the job they do, and to continue to see the participation grow is it's encouraging.
I want to also follow up with what our councilman said about attending the TML convention this past week. One of the good things about going to the TML convention is that we as a city council and our leaders here, our staff, we get to spend time, quote, socializing, attending meetings together, and really getting to know each other. And it makes for a much better working relationship. And I think that our leaders, whether they be in Austin or in Washington, D.C., could possibly take, look at what we're doing, and maybe they could get along. maybe they, I know it's probably asking a lot, but there's always hope. But, because we don't always agree on absolutely everything.
Right.
But we do like each other, and I'm not sure that the people in Washington and Austin actually like each other. And so I hope that maybe that they will find an opportunity to spend time with their coworkers.
Well, I enjoyed spending time with my coworkers at TML this week. Just in the name of brevity, I would say I know everyone up here and all of our city staff are really dedicated to finding a way to keep the recycling program alive. And if you're in this room tonight and you feel the same way, please let your friends and neighbors know that it's very important that we adhere to the new rules of recycling. And I would charge everyone in the room to do just that. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, so just a few announcements. Tomorrow, Tuesday, October 16th, we will hold a dedication ceremony for Sherman's new Fire Station Number 4. The project is vitally important to the future of our city. Would love to have a big crowd come out and help us open the building for service. It starts at 1 p.m. at the new fire station. We've got a ton of really neat activities coming up at the new Sherman Library later this month. On Thursday, October 18th, Tex Park Paranormal will talk about what is involved in paranormal research, show pictures, and answer audience questions from 6 to 7:30. And then on Saturday, October 27th, 3 to 4 kids at a time can take a trip through the library's Trick or Treat Village. And on Tuesday, October 30th, the library will host Halloween Pajama Story Time from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. If you have little ones, it's going to be a really fun month at the Sherman Library. So congratulations, Melissa. A lot of fun stuff coming up. On Monday, October 22nd, North Texas Young Professionals will once again host a City Council debate forum at Grayson Hall. The event starts at 6 p.m., so please make plans to come out and participate in our local democracy. On Thursday, October 25th, Sherman Main Street will play host to Trick or Treat on Travis Street with hundreds of local businesses handing out candy to kids. We expect several thousand to attend, so be sure and get there prior to the 6 p.m. start time. Sherman Parks and Recreation will hold a dedication ceremony for our new skate park in Hahn Park on Friday, October 26th at 5:30 p.m. Please come out and help us celebrate that. And finally, on Halloween, Wednesday, October 31st, the Sherman Police will sponsor Fright Fest 2018 in Kidkey Park. It's a great way for your kids to have a fun, safe holiday. Okay, and with that, the City Council will now hold a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act at Section 551.071 to consult with the city attorney concerning pending or contemplated litigation and on a matter in which the city's attorney's duty under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter and its Section 551.087 to deliberate regarding economic development negotiations. So at 5:47, we'll dismiss into executive session. Thank you.